So we're here today on the bridge between Fairfield and Bridgeport with Bill Collins, member of the Veterans for Peace organization, former mayor of Norwalk, and an activist for many, many years. Bill, tell us why you're here today.
Well, I get a little tired of the cynicism from the Republican leadership in the legislature. Larry Cafaro's from my town. He's the Republican leader, and he's pretending that we're just trying to make things equal and restore balance to the legislature and all that, and to Congress. Whereas taking Bridgeport out of the 4th congressional district simply is a ploy to make the 4th district a Republican district forever.
And the 4th district now is competitive, but if they take Bridgeport out, it won't be.
It's wonderful to finally have it competitive. It was a Republican district for a long time, but the population's changed, demographics shift, and now it's one of the not so many competitive districts in the country. And they want to cure that and make it a permanent Republican district.
And they've been talking about doing this because it will somehow increase minority representation in the Congress. But what happens to the minorities in Norwalk and Stamford if Bridgeport is taken out of the district and it becomes Republican?
Well, the minorities in Stratford and Norwalk are finally getting some representation because there's a Democratic congressman. But for decades and decades, they had no representation at all. They were just sort of forgotten. And this would put them back in that category, I'm afraid.
So what should people do if they are in fact upset about this idea of taking Bridgeport out of the 4th?
Well, they ought to grouse to their legislators, for one thing, and put a letter in the newspaper, the usual political things, write an op-ed, call up Larry Cafaro, for one thing.
Because Larry Cafaro is one of the members of the districting committee.
Yeah, he's the Republican leader in the House, so he's automatically a member of the districting committee, and he lives in this district, so he's a person who'd be very interested to hear from any of us, I'm sure.
Well, he's going to hear from us today, for sure.
Right.
Bill, thanks very much for coming out.
Thank you, John.
It's been a fair, level playing field. We know that we had Chris Shays here for 20 years, so Republicans can win here and Democrats can win here. So it's ridiculous for the Republicans to try to do this gerrymandering, because that's really what they're trying to do. They're gerrymandering the 4th district into a all-Republican district.
All right, thanks very much, Scott. So, Elsa.
Hi. Yes, I'm Elsa Obuchowski. I live in Norwalk.
And tell me why you're here today.
I'm here today because it really, really burns me up that at the public hearings for redistricting last summer, the question was asked, are you going to try to break off Bridgeport from the 4th district and put it with New Haven in the 3rd district? And the people on the commission at those hearings said, no, 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 there's no truth to those rumors. You don't have to worry about that. So the public did not have an open debate about it. If they had said, yes, we believe Bridgeport should be in the 3rd district with New Haven, not in the 4th district with Fairfield County, then we could have had an open public debate about that question. But instead, they just told everybody, no, you don't have to worry about it. You let your guard down. You let them have their deliberations in secret for all these months, and all of a sudden on November 30th, we find out, yes, this is what they're trying to do. That really burns me up.
And so what are you trying to do about that?
Well, I'm trying to get the public aware of what they're trying to do, and it's really hard to do at the holiday season when people are busy with other things, but I am trying to let the public know about this underhanded trick and have people speak out and say, no, we don't want this to happen.
And what should people do if they're upset?
Well, they should certainly contact their state representative, especially if their state rep is one of the people on the reapportionment commission. But their state senator, their state representative, and Governor Malloy, they should contact them and say, no, we don't want this to happen.
And we have a petition up, don't we, on the internet now?
That's right. It's on signon.org, and the name of the petition is Let the District Be Unbroken. And we got well over 100 signatures in the first day that petition was up.
In just one day?
That's right.
Yeah, so that's terrific. Thanks very much, Elsa.
Thank you.
So I'm here with State Representative Jonathan Steinberg from Westport, who is not a member of the Districting Commission, but who will, at the end of the day, have to vote on what comes out of it. So, Jonathan, why are you here?
because the redistricting commission hasn't made its final decision yet, and I want to urge my colleagues to remember that this is supposed to be a bipartisan process. The Republican map is presented as blatantly partisan and not a responsible correction for some of the other issues that we have as a state in terms of districting. We still have this in front of us. Let's get it right, keep Bridgeport where it belongs, keep the 4th a competitive district.
Thanks very much, Jonathan.
Sure.
I'm here with Aaron Goode from New Haven. He runs the Democracy for America group in New Haven. And Aaron, if Bridgeport were taken out and put in with New Haven, it would change tremendously the dynamics of the congressional district you live in. What do you think about that?
Yeah, look, I think this is a stupid idea to sever Bridgeport from the rest of Fairfield County and put it in the 3rd district. It would make the 3rd district less competitive. I'd make the 4th district less competitive. It's a stupid idea. It's a partisan idea. It's an attack on the people of Bridgeport. So I'm here as a New Havener, as a member of the 3rd Congressional District, to express solidarity with the people of Bridgeport and people in the 4th Congressional District who oppose this stupid partisan idea.
So I want to reiterate your idea there about making both of those districts less competitive if you take Bridgeport out of the 4th and put it in the 3rd. Because right now the 4th is a very competitive district. Democrats won it 3 years ago with not a big majority after the Republicans had held it for many, many years. But if you take Bridgeport out, then it simply becomes a safe district for the Republicans, and it also makes New Haven completely non-competitive forever.
Yeah, I think we should be drawing our district lines, our legislative lines, so that we have competitive races and not as an incumbency protection program.
Yes.
You know, that's bad for democracy.
I agree with you 100%. Aaron, thanks so much for coming out today.
Thanks, John.
So I'm here now with Doug Sutherland from Trumbull. He's part of our DFA group that operates out of Norwalk. And actually, Doug has done a lot of work on gerrymandering and has some thoughts here about what they call packing. So, Doug, take it away.
Right. Well, I mean, what we're seeing here with this attempt to move Bridgeport into the 3rd district, take it out of the 4th district, is a classic technique in gerrymandering called packing, where you take one group of people that you concentrate them into one district, and then they don't have any influence in the other district. So, in this case, the 3rd district is a Democratic district anyway. So by moving Democrats out of the 4th district, you're not really hurting yourself in the 3rd district, and the Republicans are helping themselves in the 4th district. So, this is a classic technique, and it concentrates the representation of minorities in this case into one district, and that means that representatives in other districts around that, they don't have to concern themselves with minority issues.
So if that's the case, then the minorities in Norwalk and Stratford, for example, would lose representation in the U.S. House.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, it'll make this district a very safe district for Republicans. They won't have to really concern themselves even with minorities in their own district. So
packing is one of the techniques of gerrymandering, and that's basically what's going on here today.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Thanks very much, Doug. Okay. So I'm here with Mary Jane Foster, who was recently a candidate for mayor in Bridgeport in the Democratic primary, and a longtime resident of Bridgeport, and you voted in the 4th Congressional District for a long, long time, Mary Jane.
For a long time.
And they want to take your town out and put it in with New Haven. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm very disappointed that we would be caught in the middle of some really silly gerrymandering here. For one, it changes the dynamics of our county and of New Haven, and that's unnecessary. But the other piece of this that I think has not received adequate consideration is that it's one more piece of isolation for Bridgeport. Bridgeport is a part of Fairfield County.
Yes.
And anything that occurs that isolates us further, that precludes or enhances a perception that we should not be a part of the economic and cultural activities of Fairfield County is really detrimental to this city.
Well, and Larry Cafaro, who is the minority leader for the Republicans in the House and a member of the redistricting committee, said, well, it would be good to have a congressional district that really is a Fairfield County district. And I guess by that he meant that he thinks that Bridgeport's not part of Fairfield County.
Well, we are, inevitably in these conversations, Bridgeport is always the ugly stepchild.
Right.
And it is so unfair to the city, which has got so much to offer and actually participates in so many ways in its public institutions and social services and so forth. So I think it's short-sighted of Fairfield County to try to cut us off and send us out to sea, because we're not going. We're just not going.
To me, Bridgeport represents the best opportunity we have for really increasing economic development in Fairfield County. Stratford has done very well. Norwalk has done well. The little towns are doing well. It's Bridgeport where we have the opportunity, and I think we want to keep this together.
Well, we have a significant opportunity in Bridgeport, both culturally and in the arts, but through offering all sorts of opportunities, including affordable housing, which you simply cannot find in Fairfield County. There's all kinds of work around that, as well as some nice things happening. So this would really be harmful to that effort, and I would really find it unfortunate.
Well, thanks very much for coming out, Mary Jane.
Well, you bet. Yeah. Happy to be here.
Good.
Thank you.
So, Jon Kantowitz from Fairfield. You've been a Fairfield resident for many, many years and voted with Fairfield and Bridgeport in the 4th Congressional District, and now they're trying to take Bridgeport away. What do you think about that?
Well, it's a horrible idea on so many levels. Fairfield and Bridgeport, really, their interests are tied together, their economy is tied together. I've always been a Fairfield resident, but I've always been involved in Bridgeport. Starting with the Urban Coalition, and the ties are very strong between all of Fairfield County and Bridgeport. I think it's a horrible idea to try to sever those ties. We need Bridgeport in the 4th District.
And I think that's particularly true these days when the fate of the towns and the cities, they really come together around the railroad and the economic development up and down the coast here. To take Bridgeport out, I think, would stunt the economic development of Fairfield County.
There's no question that without Bridgeport, Fairfield County is just a suburb. It has no meaning.
Right.
It's just residences. We need the economic stimulus that Bridgeport brings to the whole area.
Well, thank you very much for coming, Jonathan.
My pleasure.
I'm here with Terry Masters, who is a regional coordinator for MoveOn.org. And Terry, what town are you based in?
I live in Stratford.
You live in Stratford, so that's part of the 3rd Congressional District.
Indeed, we are part of the 3rd.
But you're interested here in keeping Bridgeport as part of the 4th. Tell me why.
A couple of reasons. Basically, to me, this is an obvious attempt at gerrymandering. And from Republicans who espouse this great competitive free market philosophy, and in actuality what they're trying to do is carve out the one large town, one large city with a large minority population in the 4th District so that they eliminate any competitive basis in that district.
So it would create a safe seat for the Republicans where today it's a very competitive seat.
That's right, and in fact the seat's only been in Democratic hands for the last couple of years, in Republican hands for many years before that. So it is an extremely competitive district, and if they're afraid of competition, then they're very bad capitalists, aren't they?
So what else is MoveOn working on these days?
We're working on a lot of issues. Main thing is trying to say, let's take back the American dream. We're working on putting pressure on Congress to create jobs, not cuts. We don't need austerity. America's not broke. We don't need to keep laying off school teachers, hospital workers, and everybody else. We're also getting involved in other issues such as the looking at Citizens United, trying to help other groups address that and say that corporations are people. I don't think so.
So Citizens United was the Supreme Court decision a little over 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, that gave corporations the right to spend unlimited amounts of money on the political process.
That's right, and the 2-year anniversary for that is coming up January 20th, which is actually within 3 days of the anniversary of Roe v. Wade, which to me, here we have a Supreme Court saying that corporations are people, but women are not.
So what is Move On planning around the Citizens United 2-year anniversary?
Right now, everything's kind of in the, as we say, planning, but we know it's coming up. It's part of our larger emphasis on saying we need to take this country back. You know, the 99% needs to get the fair share of what's going on, the wealth that we create. We need to retain that for us. We need to create more jobs. We need to make sure that that elections are fair.
Good. Terry, thanks so much for coming out and for all the work that Move On does.
Thank you.
So, we've been here today on the bridge between Fairfield and Bridgeport to talk to people about why it's a terrible idea to split Bridgeport off from the 4th Congressional District. It's not going to do anything for the 3rd District where they put the people. It's called packing, and it will definitely be detrimental to the people in the 4th Congressional District, because that district, which is now competitive, would simply become a safe Republican seat and one which no one would pay any attention to anymore. So this has been a great day for democracy and for Democracy for America, and thank you for sharing it with us.